Happy Monday. UnAuthorizedOpinions.com, UOPod.com, Patreon.com/UOPod. Thank you, audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, AOL, YouTube, X, Rumble. I had a dream last night that I was in school. I think it was a high school class. My teacher was an editor. My teacher was getting me to write articles, which ironically I do in real life. And, you know, the classroom was filled with a bunch of people from my life, random people from different times in my life. And I'm writing articles in this class, and I've got all these notes, and I'm very confused. I've got all these different things. I say I'm a mess today, teacher. And he says, why do you need that many notes? You should be able to write articles based on 2 lines. And I said, that's crazy, but I'll try it tomorrow, I guess. I don't think I can do it, though. And next to me is an old buddy of mine from my early 20s named Ivor. And the teacher goes, Ivor can write articles based off just 2 lines. And I said, yeah, Ivor is a little bit eccentric and special that way. You know, he might be able to write articles based on 2 lines, but he also has like aversions to digesting dark chocolate or something. And, you know, I said I would generally consider him to be slow, but in other ways, I suppose he is fast. And that had me thinking that subconsciously, I just stumbled upon a new pillar of learning. We have the slow class, we have the normal class, and now I suppose we have the fast class. And for those of us who are just in the middle, it gives us something to strive to, and it gives us something to, you know, work towards. We don't want to be slow, but do we really want to be fast? I don't know. I want to also talk about, I went to a restaurant the other day with my pals. We had planned this whole day to eat, to go to this game store, to play video games, to watch stuff. We really didn't make it past the eating very far. But we go to this restaurant, and I'll tell you, it's called Symposium. And when I went in, I noticed it was like an Arab guy running it. Now, that's a bit of a flag for me, and not because of the fact that it was an Arab guy, but it's because it's a foreign guy running a restaurant that's attempting to sound so sophisticated. Like, on one hand, not only do I don't want a Norwegian guy making my Chinese food. I don't really want a Japanese guy making my soul food, that sort of thing. And I would think this is sort of like if I go to, you know, like China and name it like some romantic, introspective, cultural or something along the lines of, you know, the honorable monk or something like that in China, and I'm cooking Chinese food. It's like, you don't want to hear from me. I'm not from here. I'm not going to open this sophisticated place. Do you want like a guy from Sweden going to South Texas and opening like Big Mama's soul food restaurant? I don't think you want that. So I had a little bit of aversion once I went into the restaurant about how this was going to go. And we go to order wings, which is promoted as a special, and there's none there. They say they're out of wings. How does that happen? I don't know. And all of a sudden I'm getting PTSD of like John Taffer and Bar Rescue of a place not having the food. And I'm saying this isn't going to go well. I asked for a Diet Coke or Pepsi or whatever it is, and it's watery. I give it to my friend Dave. I'm like, try this. And he's like, yeah, but it seems like they need to change the bag on the soda machine. So I send it back. The woman brings another one. I'm like, this tastes the same. She's like, yeah, I guess we need to change the machine. And then a manager comes walking towards me. He's got 2 glasses of soda. And he's an older Chinese guy, probably in his 50s. And he goes, I brought you 2 in case you don't like one. And I try the first one, and I'm like, no, this one's good. It seems like you changed it. It's good. He's like, try the other one just in case. And I'm like, are you testing me? And he just gives me this look back, like, yes, I am. And then I taste the second one, and I'm just like, I don't like that one. He's like, oh, good. That one was Coke Zero. You passed test. And then we're all laughing. And I don't know whether to be offended that this restaurant manager is testing his customers because they had a problem with the product, or I don't. But I ended up falling on the side of respecting it. My friend at the table said he felt like he was watching an intense chess match happen as I tried to determine whether or not, this manager was testing to see if I was a moron. Little does he know I have a lot of experience in older Chinese men, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. I often go to a computer repair shop, and I have for many years, which is run by an older Chinese man who's got plenty of parables, I think is the word, plenty of stories, and he often challenges me as well. I bring him old technology. I say I need one of those old floppy disks. He demands to know why I want old technology. He says something better exists, and he argues with me about why I should get the new thing, and I say, no, I want the old thing. He tries to trick me in certain ways. So, while I respect the effort of the restaurant manager trying to call out perhaps this foolish Westerner, I am experienced in the ancient Chinese arts of customer service, and better luck next time. To his credit, what are the odds that he would come across a complaining customer who has experience dealing with old Chinese men trying to trick you? But on the other hand, there's sort of that cross section, or to use the woke term, intersectionality, maybe, of people like me who complain about diet sodas who also have experience dealing with mind riddles of the Eastern sciences. Now, I said all that to say, welcome back to the show this week. It was a nice holiday for me. I took about 4 days off. 8, as you can see. By the way, the fish and chips we ended up having, which was also on special, was great. So shout out to that restaurant. It turned out to be a good experience after initially it didn't seem like it was going to be, but welcome back to the podcast. We've got a few things to get to, a few cultural things. There's an article by the New York Times about, toxic feminism or masculinity. I want to leave that to the end because I haven't read it, but I want to give you guys a preview of it. It says, steeling my daughters against a new kind of misogyny, which I think means preparing them for how misogynistic the world is, and I'm going to guess it's under Trump. That's without reading it all. But I want to go over to something more fun. We've talked on this podcast about singing Democrats, and shout out to a friend of the show, John Doyle, who has aptly brought up the idea of theater kids running the government. And before, we've had a video where the Democrats were singing against the Republicans and Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Which side are you on? Tell me. And they had the harmonies, and they had the seniors who had rehearsed the song. And that's when we thought it was going to be the end of it. But alas, it was not. We've got the former NIH director here, which his name is Francis Collins, former director of National Institutes of Health for Obama, Trump, and Biden. So 2009 to 2021. And we've got this man singing. I haven't watched the full thing. I love to do this. I love to see that first 3 seconds. I'm an eye for talent. I know when comedians are going to be good. I know when rappers are good. Okay, those are my two gifts. Maybe on top of Chinese proverbs or tests, whatever mind meld techniques you can call it. So I didn't want to ruin it for anybody. Let's take a look at this.
Noble dream. Have you got that? So it's just all the good people, but the second line, part of this family, and the last line, we're joined together by this noble dream.
Why is it that every time there's a gathering of liberals, there has to be a song? And I'm not talking about, like, I'm proud to be in America. Like, I forget that guy's name who sings that. That's all that at all the Trump rallies. Like an established artist, if you want to bring out like Oasis or Paul McCartney to sing a song, I'm fine with that. I mean, it can be cringe no matter who it is. But for just random like doctors to be coming up here and politicians and thinking everybody wants to hear my rallying cry, that shows a level of narcissism I don't think you often expect from these people. You would you go to like a dentist office and just being like, I'm going to conduct a political poll here? Do you strongly agree, somewhat agree, or somewhat disagree to Elon Musk's USAID cuts? I'm not doing that at hot yoga. Why are you coming to my political rallies and imparting your amateur sing-songery against me? I don't understand.
Do that with me. This is a song for all the good people. Come on. All the good people who are part of this family. This is a song for all the good people. We're joined together by this noble dream. Well,
everybody always wants, and the songs that they do aren't just performances. It always has to be a sing-along. I'm going to make the next ballad. I'm going to make the next wartime song. Like I've said about the tariff battle, this is their Vietnam people. When this guy comes up and he hasn't been in the health offices for 4 years, he's like, I'm going to take this time to do what I always wanted to do, which was write anti-war ballads to pretend wars, the pretend war being against the Elon Musk cuts. It's the Stand Up for Science rally. I hope this is a pro-trans event. That would be interesting.
Well, this is a song for all of those dreamers. We're looking for answers to come our way. Scientists, doctors, students, all seekers. We share in the hopes for a much brighter day. Come on now. Well, this is a song for all the good people. All the good people who are part of this family. This is a song for all the good people. We're joined together by this noble.
So there's a person in a mask back there. It seems to be a pro-illegal immigration song. I'm not sure how that ties into doctors and scientists. I'm really not sure. I'm not sure how that doctors and scientists tie into transgender causes. It would kind of be like if it was the 60s or something and you had a guy come out there and be like, come on guys, let's get together for drilling a hole in your head to relieve a headache. It's time for us to stand up. Hysterical women have run rampantly for too long. It's time for us scientists and doctors to stand up against this. It's time for scientists, doctors, and even their students to stand up against the people who are against, is that phrenology where they measure the skull shape to determine your intelligence? It's time to stand up against the people who are against this sort of thing. You can't even go out there and do a song that's like, how dare you question the COVID therapy? Like, that's how fast science moves. You've got a good 2 years where you're writing, all of a sudden you got to write a new song, dude. This is my new song about vaccine science. This is actually my new song about skull shapes. We can't even determine what's a planet for more than a couple years. You want to tell me what the science is saying? We can't possibly build a high-speed rail. This is a song for those against high-speed rail. Just like windmills, it kills a lot of birds. It's like you can sing a song for that stuff for 2 years until, you see the piles of bird and bat corpses around the windmills, I guess. This is why ballad song chasing is an endeavor that I would suggest not pursuing. Because, and this segment's brought to you by Prime. It's not really, but it's brought to you by Prime. Don't sing scientific-based ballads at protests. This is Tropical Punch. We're going to try it live. The only reason I'm buying Prime is because my local convenience mart, where I buy Jamaican beef patties, sells them for $1. Now, sorry about that, folks. On the audio, that was me punching the microphone. Now, I don't know if this is because the primes were stolen, if they fell off the back of a truck, if you will, or if they're just not selling to the kids anymore. I mean, that one's all right. Ooh! Punches you right in the teeth. Holy crap. I don't know if they're not selling anymore, but you know that you can't get an energy drink for $1. That's a good deal. Sell me the Arizona iced tea of energy drinks so I can get my gallstones moving a little bit faster. I want to jump on over to this story about a green card holder that was arrested. Now, Libs of TikTok says, and word to the wise, she's not always correct, and she's obviously of the faith that is against Islam. And she says ICE arrested Mahmoud Khalil, one of the leaders of the pro-Palestine protests and encampments at Columbia University. He's reportedly having his student visa and green card revoked by the State Department. So what happened is this guy was part of the, like it says, one of these encampments, these university protests where basically you illegally occupy the campus grounds, and this one was actually one of the worst ones, if not the worst one. You'd have to correct me if I'm wrong, but they were literally saying, like, Jews, you can't come to class. Now, we all know the story. We all know what time it is, but, you know, you can't just be like, I go to this university, so now I own this grass and this gate. That's not really how I think it works, and God bless all of us who went to high school and university or college before it became just activism where you could like walk around. You could, you know, correctly or incorrectly label certain things as homosexual. You could, you know, commit any hate crime you wished within reason. I mean, as long as it wasn't directly offending anybody, you could, you know, express an anti-Christian bias against me, I would say, and you probably wouldn't get in trouble because that's what free speech actually is. But, you know, they're trying to protect free speech in the sense that, you know, if you don't let me have an enclosed encampment where certain ethnicities aren't allowed and I get to say who comes and goes on this property, that's not exactly like free speech. That's like sort of saying somebody coming into your house, taking a dump on the floor, and then being like, you can't touch it, you have to let the stink emanate through your home, or else you're against free speech. I would argue, you know, possibly on the side that's in opposition to that. So this guy, you know, he's upset. We can take a listen to him if you want.
The university and President Minouche Shafii claimed today in her email to all the student body that they kept open channels and discussions with the students through.
The masked person in the Arabic scarf behind is never a look of that's gonna jive with, you know, the non-Muslim world. I mean, not winning hearts and minds when you come out with the person in the mask in general, so you've already lost like the most of the right-wing people. And then when you have the Arabic scarf, you lose most of the people of other religions. So basically all you have left is like blue-haired teenage girls and like teachers that go to the same school as this woman. That's basically who you have left when like this is your one representative.
Through different channels. I can confirm as the only negotiator that the university were actually dictating things to students. They've never offered any negotiation. The moment we sent them our demands and the coalition demands, 5 minutes after they called and said nothing will be negotiating upon.
So I just wanted to be fair and tell you what this guy said last year. They're making demands of a university. That's weird, right? That's an odd stance to take, that you can just protest at a university and you can start making demands. So I want to show the other side, which is Michael Rapaport yelling about this guy And I actually agree with him for, I don't know, the first time since he was on Friends, I guess, and shot one of the loud birds out of Phoebe's window. But he's an Israel supporter, and obviously he's going to be against this. But he makes a lot of sense because the ICE apparently detained this guy, and they said your student visa's being revoked, and also his green card is being revoked. And there's this sort of argument that, you know, you're taking away his free speech, even if we cut away all the stuff about encampments and everything. Should you allow a person just to come to your country? And so political division is the question. I would say no. I would say that is not a net benefit for a nation to have somebody who's not a citizen of their country to be there, no matter which side it's on. So it's a tough topic, but especially when you do add in the crimes being committed and the hardcore political activism, which the Democrats are supporting, by the way, they said to free him. This is what's going to happen. I don't know if that's totalitarian or not, but if I'm on a student visa or I have a green card or whatever the equivalent is to Japan, or pick your country, and I am attending one of its schools and I just decide to take it over and block people based on ethnicity, I mean, that's only going to be supported in a few countries. Maybe if you go to China and, you know, I don't have to keep picking on China. Maybe if you go to Central African Republic and you start discriminating against, I'm going to get in trouble for this, discriminating against the people who live on this side of the forest versus the other side of the forest, that will be supported by the left foresties. But, you know, my geopolitics knowledge of Central Africa is not the greatest. But I agree with Michael Rapaport here for once, who said, you know, you got to go back, I think, if you're causing this much trouble.
United States on a college visa, and you think you got the nerve and the audacity to protest with a mask on and say certain people can't come and go as they please on a college campus that you're here on a college visa for? The f*** out of here, man. Out of here. Go back to wherever the f*** you came from. See if you could pull that shit wherever the f*** you came from.
See, that's the thing about Michael Rapaport. Yes, he's, you know, a Jewish guy who's going to support it based on the lines of along the lines of his religion, but at the same time, he's a Boston guy. He's got this twang about him, and he is pro-America. I think, at the end of the day, if you're telling somebody to go the F back where they came from, you have to be pro-America. There's no person who says, get out, quite like an American guy from New York or Boston. And that's what we really want. We want, as, you know, Westerners, anyone who's in support of the United States experiment, as it's called, they look at New York and Boston and they want to see what we want to see is a New York and Boston that's safe, that has people swearing at you, that has good hot dogs and pizza vendors, and also has people that say conform or get the F out. That's what we want from Boston and New York. Philadelphia, too, should have that as well. I want loudmouthed white Irish guys in Boston. I want loudmouthed Italians in Philadelphia, New York. I want, you know, a Muslim guy and a Jewish guy having competing restaurants across the street, but you can't tell who's who because they're yelling at you with the same accent. That was the New York we love and miss, where no matter what the person looked like over the phone, they just sounded Italian and as they were yelling at you. That's the New York we miss. Just like everybody misses the London you saw growing up, where it was just, you know, guys meeting up in the streets to fight the supporters of other soccer teams at like 10 in the morning. For no reason, really, other than they think it's fun. Pubs are open. Children are waking up. Nana's making tea and crumpets. And then dad, uncle, and probably any son that's over 16 years old is walking down the streets to then have a extremely and probably over the top and near deadly fist fight with another group of fans of a soccer team, and that's the London that we miss. We miss that London. We miss the Boston, New York, and Philadelphia of the past. We miss the Chicago where it was just like, okay, don't go outside the city or you might get shot. But now it's this whole illegal immigrant situation. We used to enjoy people getting shot outside the city. Now inside the city, there's too many immigrants. We used to like when people got shot. We'd say that's a problem, but at least they're not foreigners. And that's the Chicago we're looking for. I can't remember a Los Angeles, maybe the one that was depicted that I would like to go to. There was a depiction of Los Angeles in Hollywood where it was like the stars, and even though it was still a cesspool of paparazzi, taking pictures of Justin Bieber after workouts. But, it wasn't piles of feces in the streets like it is today. I want the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas San Francisco to come back. Used to be gay guys. That's all it was known for. Just don't go to San Francisco if you're not gay. That's all you had to think about. Go to San Diego. Go to a different San. No, we won't keep going with that one. But a different San, and it was a different time. And that's what I think people are going for. And none of this stuff, on the other hand, while immigration probably has been a problem for a long time, and it has, especially illegal immigration in the United States, people don't care as much when the money be flowing, when the cash be stacking, and it's all about them Benjamins without P. Diddy standing behind you. People miss that. That's when things start to become a problem. You can be like, yeah, there's too many people making food on the ground in the streets in this neighborhood, but, I can just go move somewhere else. Even though that in itself is a defeatist attitude, the ability to move within your borders is a real privilege that's not really... You can still do it for the most part in the United States, but in Canada specifically, you can't just pick up and move to another city. There's not that many, and it's not cheap at all. In fact, it's double the price of the United States in most places. So Michael Rapaport, to me, represents a guy who, yeah, he's going to have his flaws. Yeah, he's going to have his ethnic and or religious-based beliefs that I disagree with a lot. But at the end of the day, he's a Boston guy. He's a New York guy. Whatever he is, I think it's Boston. At the end of the day, that's what he is. And he's going to say, get the fuck out if you're not playing ball. And he's going to sound like an Italian and do this. And then you're going to find out he's a Lebanese guy selling shawarmas. So that's what we miss. Let's bounce on over. We're going past a lot of singing here. Let's bounce on over to a reality show. Now, I'm well versed in this because of the lady friend. See that? There was a involuntary Trump movement for audio listeners. That was just the weave that I was doing with the hands. It's like I'm pulling something in and then I'm flicking it away. This way, that way. Getting out of hand with the Trump stuff. But so these reality shows where you'll see people getting married when they first meet. You'll see people getting married for green cards. You'll see people, whatever has to do with love is pushed on AB or TLC and whatever else, right? A&E, I don't know. Women's television, A&E and TLC. Murder, marriages, reality shows combined. No matter what it is, somebody's getting murdered, a crime scene is being investigated, or somebody's marrying somebody they don't really know, likely from another country. That's the women's content now. And there's a show called, let me read this, called Love is Blind. I'm not sure what this one is. I can imagine that it's another marry a person you just met, or maybe it's blind people marrying each other. I don't know. But this is posted by a woman named Alana Mastrangelo. She's a Breitbart journalist, and she writes, in Love is Blind Season 8, Sarah left Ben at the altar because he didn't have an opinion on BLM or the COVID vaccine, and because his church was too traditional and didn't talk enough about LGBTQ. So let's play a bit. I don't know if it's going to get taken down, but it's an off-screen recording. I don't know. I don't know how tightly they're running this show.
We'll talk about that.
Just trying to frig with the volume here. Don't mind me. We need to, there we go. So I'll cue it up for you here. She's at the altar, for the audio listeners, standing across from this guy, and she's about to tell him why she doesn't want to marry him, essentially.
Are you okay?
She's walking away from the...
See me in the back.
She's walking away from the altar now. Laughing, fake laughing. Well, the song plays. It's emotional.
I'm fine.
So what they do in these shows, and I've seen a bunch of them, is they set it up as the woman's never wrong. No matter what the scenario is, the woman cannot be wrong because her feelings are what matter most. It is then justified by therapist, show host, or family member, whoever. Unless a woman gets caught cheating on one of these shows, it's going to be pushed from a female perspective because that's who the audience is. And the audience, this being women, does not want to feel like they're being mansplained to. Therefore, anything that possibly could run through their mind, can we put feta cheese on this pizza? Can I wear these extremely baggy pants that are up to my rib cage? There is no in these shows. So this girl's gonna go back and she's laughing like everything's okay, even though she's giving up marriage, which she obviously wanted. Why else would she join this show? Now begins the phase of let's tell her she was right, even though she's insane.
I'm fine. Get me out of here. No. You guys, really, I'm okay. I don't know. I feel kind of numb.
I'm okay, guys, really. This is hilarious. I'm good. I'm numb.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it's sad. Like, I was really excited about Ben. And I'm like, he's such a great person. I just, like... What?
Here it comes. Should I say
I
it?
just hope I made the right decision.
Hi, guys.
Oh my goodness.
Love you.
We love you.
Ben's hugging, I don't know, his family members. He says he wants to talk to her. He doesn't seem to really understand. And now it's cutting back to this girl talking with her mother and her sister, who surely won't support no matter what she says.
Yeah. Like, I remember, like, I asked him about, like, Black Lives Matter, and I'm no expert. But, like, when I asked him about it, he was like, I guess I've never really thought too much about it. That affected me, especially in our own city. Like, how could it not? How did it not make you think about something? I asked him, too, like, what his church's views are, and he said he didn't know. And so then I watched a sermon online.
From his church.
About, sexual identity.
Okay.
And it was traditional. I told that to Ben. And his thoughts on it. He doesn't really have much to say about it, I want him to think about that stuff. Sometimes I did wonder if it was surface, fun, carefree love that we had. Equality, religion, the vaccine.
So here we have a girl who, there's only two options in this. They're desperate or they want fame. Let's assume it's because they're desperate. That would be the more tolerable, the more altruistic reason to go through this. They're desperate for love and marriage. And perhaps they're going into it pure of heart, right? As much as you can. And then to say, I don't want to marry you because you don't, agree with Black Lives Matter, or you have views on this vaccine, or your church isn't gay enough. Now, you might have said, well, what if she goes the other way on these topics? What if that's what she means? You might have been able to say that if she didn't say, his church is traditional. I mean, it's a church. I mean, what are you expecting? Like, his churches actually believes in what churches believe in, and they faux pas the word traditional to be in place of what they mean to be bigoted or wrong, which is what they're trying to say. This church has the same beliefs that it's always had, and therefore it's bigoted because it hasn't updated its terms to the liberal lexicon. And then she adds in the vaccine at the end. Now, we can see the insanity in this woman as men and clearly pinpoint that and point it out as a girl this guy should have obviously avoided. And this is something they're teaching women. And you can say that, okay, yeah, you know, women can think for themselves and they're just presenting how this person feels. It might be that if it wasn't every single instance of a show like this. So, for example, if you watch the NFL Network, it's going to be telling you that the NFL is good all the time, right? It's never going to say, well, the NFL, the concussions, financial opportunities for people, medical care after the retirement. It's not going to say that stuff. TLC and these shows that are promoted worldwide on different networks as well, they're not going to say, you know, progressivism, there's another side to it. They always push towards, you know, you should leave your religion to make this woman happy. You should no matter which religion it is, by the way, they faux pas masculinity in any religion, but they don't want to mention it unless it's Christianity, by the way. So that's what they're doing here. Your church isn't good enough because it doesn't like transgender people or doesn't think that men are women. This guy's not, he doesn't even have a negative opinion about BLM, but the fact that he didn't have an opinion and didn't wish to discuss it, or at least never thought about it, that's also unacceptable. You have to be pro-BLM, the vaccine, etc. This is thinking, I mean, this was probably filmed a year or two ago, if it's being aired now. This is thinking that's obviously going out the window, but they still want to push it on the women. I mean, as you can see, what are the categories we look at here? University students, hardcore, lonely, boomer liberals, and the women that, unfortunately, you know, you've taken away all the other things that they have to watch with hyper gayness. So you try to bait them back in with matrimony and heterosexual relationships, and then you say, actually, but we're still going to layer this with progressivism. That's what all they're constantly pushing. Now, there is another side to this for the guy, which we can criticize because that's what we do here. The guy, I don't sympathize with him whatsoever. This woman asks you, what do you think about BLM? Yeah, why don't you have an opinion on something that people donated $80 billion to, burned down cities, affected legislation, was in your face every single day? Why don't you have an opinion on COVID-19 vaccines? Did you take it or did you not take it? Did you get side effects? Do you agree with forcing people to take it? These are, like, what do you care about if you don't care about these things? Why don't you know what your church believes in? You go to the church, don't you? So on one hand, this girl's insane, but on the other hand, this guy's a bit of a retard in the sense that he doesn't know anything about anything, and he'd just rather not talk about it. When was the last time, if you come across a group of guys who are just, like, acting like teenage girls saying, why do you care about that? Like, that's kind of a ridiculous guy that you don't want to be friends with, and he's a dumbass, right? Like, you can expect that from, like, jocks in high school, and I played sports in high school. My friends weren't morons who didn't have opinions. Like, you expect that from your stereotypical jock or some guy who thinks he's really, really cool. But in reality, you'd think he's an idiot because he doesn't care about the world around him, that, especially if they're saying BLM had a big effect in his city, that he's got no opinion on it. Well, he's just burying his head in the sand. So it's really an attack on women from both sides on these shows, because you've got the crazy aspect of it where it's like you must be progressive or you will die. But on the other hand, it's giving you the worst example of men it could possibly give you, with guys who are basically, you know, and the guy here, and he's white, by the way, he's an ape with a language. He's white. You can't say anything. You can make ape comparisons if he's white. gotta be Caucasian. You can't tell me that these shows are good for women. You can't tell me that from any angle other than saying pursuing marriage is good. Is there, a shred of positivity in it? Because you can hide behind this idea that they're just showing you all these people. But I promise you, they interview hundreds of people, and the people who are the most insane, or at least portray themselves as the most insane, will get the roles, because that's who ends up always being on the shows. Tune in for more reality show talk. Let's close on this article I promised. It's from the New York Times, Stealing My Daughters Against a New Kind of Misogyny. If you are able to, I would like you to leave a comment. Pause the show in 10 seconds and say, what do you think this article is going to talk about? Do you think it's A, going to bash Trump? B, will it talk about defending trans rights? C, will it say abortion rights? Or D, all of the above? Again, comment below. Stealing My Daughters Against a New Kind of Misogyny. Anti-Trump, pro-abortion, or pro-transgenderism, or all of those above. New York Times by Jessica Gross, who decided her last name wasn't enough, and her profile picture is her with a inquisitively Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson raised eyebrow. Since President Trump started announcing his cabinet picks, I've been trying to write a very serious essay in caps about the current state of feminism. I guess when you're doing opinion, you can just do whatever you want. When Pete Hegseth was confirmed, even after so many horrifying details of allegations of sexual assault and harassment, again, allegations, we've seen this with Trump, we've seen this with Justice Kavanaugh, we've seen this with Deshaun Watson, the football player. Allegations are used to discredit somebody without needing the audience to know what's true or false. Do I know what's true or false? Of course not. But the very notion of allegations that sound horrifying, you cannot convict a person on allegations. They seemed like an obvious blow to the basic ideals of gender equality. In a marginally just world for women, marginally just should be hyphenated. Bad start here. Credible allegations of sexual or domestic violence would prevent a person from being considered for such a vaunted position in the first place. Again, Justice Kavanaugh, all this stuff unprovable made up about him, and then you're just like, well, better keep going with this theory. I mean, there's allegations that Barack Obama was serviced by a crackhead or whatever drug he used in a limo and a hotel room. How can we have somebody in office who has allegations against him about sucking it off with a crackhead? I don't know. I'm not writing for the New York Times. I started to try to write this essay by gathering data about women's progress and trying to quantify how it has stalled, though the vibes seem truly awful. This is just let's just burn this person's server to the ground. Can we, enter her home, abduct her PC, and throw it in the river? Because this is what it deserves. Not her. Theoretically, her computer deserves to die. I didn't want to just go by potentially illusionary internet trends, scrolling up to the part where she said allegations of sexual assault. I didn't want to go just by potentially illusionary internet trends or vile choices of our commander-in-chief. Yet it would be it should have a comma. Yet it would be disingenuous to ignore how far we've come since the 1970s, when most women didn't even have access to credit. Okay, I'd like to know how that's possible. Women now outnumber men at American colleges and in the college educated labor force. A higher percentage of Gen Z women say they're feminists than women of any other generation. But Roe is dead. There it is. Who knows what might happen with access to contraceptions or abortion medication in the next 4 years. We're in a period of backlash against women's progress. Beyond what is happening in and around the Oval Office, don't forget what's happening around it, okay? We've got hallways, we've got other offices, we've got the assistants and the communication women that are friends of the show that are continuously orbiting the office with their evil white women ways and their children. Beyond what is happening in and around the Oval Office, surveys from 2024 show that support for traditional gender roles is increasing among both Republican men and women, according to political scientists. They conclude that any growing gender traditionalism may be a reaction to societal trends and not a cause of these trends. So if you guessed Trump and abortion, then you win the grand prize. The rest is paywall. I don't feel ethically correct in giving away the entire article because it is paywalled. I have ethics, unlike the New York Times. So we can leave it at that. But, you know, things going on in and around the Oval Office. Roe is dead. Trump, R.E. rape. Pete Hegseth, evil. Oval Office, oval. Republican men and women supporting tradition. All this shit is evil, but go live your truth on a reality show where you are supposed to get married to a guy and then leave him because he's not BLM enough, or at the very least doesn't care. UnauthorizedOpinions.com. Like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate you. Audio listeners, please leave a review. Go watch the other clip with John Fitch, former UFC fighter. I wouldn't lie to you except for maybe this once.